Welcome to week 4 of the Creators Podcast, the medicine show, College Lacrosse Game Day. This week we have an all-time great from the Fighting Irish joining us, long stick midfielder John Sexton, Notre Dame, class of 2018, retired Redwood, going to talk ND as they gear up for Maryland in the game of the year. So far, number 1 versus number 2 down in Georgia. This tilt and much more on the docket, but first our 80-second shot clock covering last week's results starting Friday, the 21st.
The Vermont Catamounts cloud a victory over Utah 11-10.
Saturday, the 22nd, Red Dead Redemption at Chokoff after last year's loss. Cornell triples up Denver 15-5.
Providence is Browntown after Saturday. The Bears beat the Friars 7-6.
The Bryant Bulldogs beat the brakes off the Bobcats of Quinnipiac 18-10.
The Statesmen were sweating in the fourth quarter like politicians taking polygraphs. Hobart beats Bucknell 13-12.
From a friend of the program in attendance, it was a home game for Maryland at Princeton's class of 1952 stadium, 13-9, Terps.
Colgate is on a warpath in February, 16-5 over Villanova.
Delaware got fried by the Benjamin. Quakers win, 10-2.
Don Petramala needs an ice pack for his nads after this weekend, 13-12 UNC beats Hopkins.
Richmond went north of Richmond to Lehigh Valley and squeaked out a mid-major bout 9-8.
Rutgers made Loyola look like lapdogs, 10-5, Scarlet Knights.
Ohio State sent Lars to his car, driving far, all the way to the bar to ask himself how this happened. Virginia loses 14-5.
In overtime, Sacred Heart bests Stony Brook 7-6.
St. Joe's keeps Towson in their woes. That's 4 losses in a row, 11-6. Hawks.
Harvard schools Syracuse in the Dome. Brains and brawn from the Crimson, 15-14.
BTN Plus is crawling back to my good graces. They step up the broadcast for Penn State Navy. Nittany Lions win 13-7.
Hofstra calms the storm in overtime in a thriller, 13-12 over St. John's.
Banks vs. Kavanaugh made the Flow Live subscription worth every penny. Irish 11, Hoyas 9.
Manhattan comes close, but Fairfield seizes the moment, 8-7 in overtime.
Down 2 with 2 minutes left, Maris ties it, then bangs a buzzer beater in regulation to beat Binghamton 10-9. Week 4, we're back. Game of the year so far coming up very soon. We're going to talk to John Sexton in a minute here. Just going to catch up first, see how everyone's doing. Game of the weekend for me had to be Hopkins UNC. What Don Petramala did was magical, emotional. Words can't describe it.
Yeah, that was a great game. Don Petramala, along with Owen Duffy. I think, my favorite thing about that game was Don Petramala's shooting stroke. That thing was beautiful. A couple quick releases, low to high. He kind of changed it up all over the place, but
he's got one-timers in his bag.
Yeah, but I feel like I really haven't seen his stroke on display, and that was a full display.
I think not Anish, but Kark specifically was freaking out when the audio wasn't working at the beginning of the game. I don't know if you guys tuned in for the beginning, but the audio wasn't working. And so it was just the field view, but they had everyone there. Kark was there, Quint was there, and Nish was there. Like,
he probably spent the whole week getting like a 5-minute speech ready to go.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't do it. No one heard it.
That's funny.
I mean,
You're kidding.
I mean, he is a narcissist. He knows he wasn't being heard by the American people, so that was probably tough for him.
It comes from a good place, a love of lacrosse.
It does.
Yeah.
As much as we all rip on them, they love the sport, and they're very passionate about it. That is a valid point, Dave.
Yeah. Any big items we want to make sure we hit?
Yeah, I think Maryland, Princeton. I think we learned a lot from that game. Maryland is the real deal, but so is Princeton, I think. And then, obviously, a ton of huge upsets, just to name a few. Ohio State and Virginia. Notre Dame, Georgetown was very close. Brown beating Providence. Cornell blowing out Denver. A lot of interesting scores from this weekend that really
Harvard went to Cuse.
Yeah, Harvard beating Cuse. A lot of crazy scores this past weekend. A lot that we didn't expect.
Mike?
The Harvard one was the most surprising. I remember, what was that line, 6.5 or something like that, 7, and I was almost enticed to take Cuse in that just because of how Harvard played at home against Colgate. And just how good people expect Cuse to be. So, and to go into the Dome too. I did not see Harvard beating Cuse at all at home. Did not see it.
First time in the Dome, and there was a clip. Last time they played each other was like a tournament game, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen them play.
Like early 2000s. So, Brett, any big moments from you?
No, I got home off the slopes and I tuned into ESPN Plus and I saw Dom score from the restraining line and I was like, something's going on here. The score panel flipped on and I realized what was happening. Went to Maryland, Princeton, saw that score. I was like, what was I doing skiing?
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell are you doing? Having fun
I know.
on the mountains.
No reason
Brett,
for me to be out there.
To make you feel any better, I also missed a lot of games, had to catch up with the replays, but I was at the Union Babson game, which was tough loss for Union, but fantastic atmosphere, great time. I just felt like I had to mention that.
No, I was 100%. I should have asked you. You were at a game.
Great atmosphere, though. I mean, that might have been the best game you could have gone to this weekend in the greater Boston area.
Streaming services stepped it up, in my opinion, this week. You know how many great games were on at 12 noon? It felt like I got 3 TVs and a laptop going, and it felt like I didn't have enough screens.
Well, that's
the satellite.
Yeah. The satellite wasn't full. I was the only one in the satellite, but it was still the satellite.
That's like a pro and a con, though, right, Dan? I've heard a lot of people complain that every single good game is at noon because you can't watch them all. It's impossible.
That's right.
You literally have to get like 20 TVs if you want to watch every game or flip between.
Which we'd consider, given our trajectory of investments we've made.
Don't you think if you were a coach or like an athletic director at maybe a mid-major school, you would see that schedule and say, hey, maybe we flex this to 4 or 5 o'clock and be the only game on TV that everybody's going to watch.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Fairfield did this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, give an example.
They played Manhattan.
Yeah. Free, too.
I don't know if that was intentional or whatever, if that was how it was originally scheduled, but they were the only game on Saturday at 5 o'clock, prime time. Like everybody who watched lacrosse at noon and 1 is watching that 5 o'clock game and saying.
And Binghamton Marist, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
They probably just compare exposure to logistics. What's more worth it? Most usually lean with logistics at the spot that college lacrosse is, unfortunately. But that's what when I look through the game slate, I always look at the late games on Saturday and the Sunday games to see what I can watch individually because there's nothing else on. You want to be able to watch lacrosse.
Right. Sundays are coming back. A lot of good Sunday games this week. Let's get into this extra man opportunity. Johnny, thanks so much for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good seeing the fellas, man. The helmets minus Southey. How we doing, guys?
We're doing great. Yeah, we're missing Southey. Well. We'll let him know you called and you're on the show. He listens. He's a religious listener, so he'll tune in for sure.
Sure is.
First and foremost, we got to ask how retirement's gone, man. You hung him up, I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point. But you down in Florida, you in some island somewhere enjoying retirement.
Just like any other pro sport, right? Kick up the feet, enjoy the riches of your professional athletics career. It's been good. It's been good. No,
yeah.
Serious note, it's been nice, man. It's been good to kind of step back and get to be a fan of the game a little bit more and kind of spend more time with my girlfriend, spend more time on my profession. So it's been nice. I missed the game a little bit, but still finding ways to stay involved here in Chicago and stay in touch with all the guys.
Hell yeah. How are you still kind of involved with lacrosse?
Yeah, so I got a couple of things here around Chicago. The main one that I've been involved with over the past couple of years is Owls Lacrosse, outreach with lacrosse in school. It's a program here in Chicago for underserved communities, helping bridge the gaps for kids who are in different situations here in Chicago and
Nice.
trying to give them resources and opportunities that they might not otherwise have. So it's a great program, something I got involved with at Notre Dame. So the Notre Dame coaches have been, around this program for the better part of a decade and continue my work since I've been out here.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And I'd have to imagine there's a good network of Notre Dame lacrosse alum in Chicago. Is that true?
You'd think so, but it's underrepresented, man. There's a lot of guys who make their way back to the East Coast or head out elsewhere. People kind of get tired of the Midwest after 4 years in South Bend, I guess. It's South Bend's a beautiful city, metropolis, some would say, but it's not representation of the Midwest. So Chicago's, doesn't get enough love.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. In all seriousness, is there any type of like package or anything you get from the PLO when you do retire? Like, I don't know if there's something from other sports, but like you sacrificed your body for a long time. You put yourself in the line. Like, do you get anything? Is there any ties you still have to the league, whether money wise or anything else?
It's a good question. They do a good job of trying to keep everyone around and give you opportunities to go to games, events, things like that. They created a alumni network because everyone's kind of washed up and working, white collar jobs after the PLL. So it's aside from the LinkedIn community, I haven't seen any gold plated name tags or anything like that. It's been mostly the networking, but it's good. Listen, like Paul, Mike, they've done a really good job with the PLL. They've definitely stepped it up since the MLL. I got a year of that, so that was fun, but probably not the same level of professionalism that those guys have brought to the PLL. And I think they're just starting to build out things like that. That would probably fall in the category of superfluous when you're trying to start a league, is trying to get the washed up old guys more involved. So it's been.
I have one question. So speaking of your pro career, what happened with Epic? You were an Epic athlete. Epic has seemed to dissipate into a cloud of smoke. What happened with
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know they stepped away from the community. So I first got to know those guys actually out in Minneapolis. I worked out there my junior internship at Notre Dame, and got to know the guys at Epic. They're really good people. James Miceli, some of the other folks over there. So they supported me right out of school just because I happened to get to know them while I was at Notre.
Gotcha.
Okay. They're great. They definitely had like things they were really good at. Like they're really good at protective gear, really good at shafts. Heads was always a struggle for me, but they did a lot of things really well. So I didn't know that they stepped away from the game. Are they not doing anything anymore, or what's the latest?
I don't know. They might have got bought out by someone. I think it's pretty recent, but if you go on their website, they don't really have any products, and I don't think they're releasing any new products. I think all indications point to it being bought out, or maybe they just stopped manufacturing stuff. But great brand, and they did make some really cool stuff.
And you can string a pretty good traditional on an Epic head.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you can, man. I think, first Ando and then his son Lucas, they did a good job on those Epic heads, but I was always impartial. I was kind of a warrior guy. I just wasn't really warrior level social media presence. I didn't, 1,000 followers. You needed to change. So
that's shocking.
Brand.
Yeah. Speaking of your social media too, you had the Insta tag Sexton me up. Did you have to drop that for Epic or what? Is that why Warrior didn't sign you?
And that might have been at Notre Dame. I think they took us through like social media training. Not that anyone was like piecing through the Notre Dame men's lacrosse teams, Twitter to see what we had done wrong. But it was pretty funny. They took us through this whole session where they had our whole team sit in a conference room. And I think for like 10 minutes, they just went through Nick Acello when I was a freshman, all of his tweets. And all of them, how shitty the Notre Dame football kicker was, or just like,
oh, that's great.
Like he's been a long-term troll in the broader Twitter universe. I think he's gotten a lot of hype and clout recently. So he's he was good at that since day one.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a podcast now with Inside Lacrosse. Seems like that's very true. He's a character, but he's hilarious, and he belongs in front of a mic, that's for sure. So
he does. He does. He's got a podcast.
Just going back to the PLL real quick, like the PLL's grown a ton. Obviously, they're kind of adopting this new sixes format, which is going to be in the Olympics, and it kind of seems like it might be, maybe the future of lacrosse in some capacity. I guess, what's your take on sixes? Have you ever played it? Are you a fan of it? Do you like it? Do you see it growing into something bigger than it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never played sixes. Some people say it's an adaptation of the LS lacrosse Chumash, but I think it's an interesting format. So for me, it's not as exciting to watch just because it's kind of like NBA All-Star. People running around, not playing a ton of defense, and that's just kind of where Mike and Dan and I live, right? We want to see guys out there, sliding, who's the two, all that good stuff, and you just don't see that yet. But I think that's more of a product of it just being newer, right? They've rolled it out every year. There's more strategy. You see people kind of thinking through kind of creative ways to play that game. I think ultimately anything that gets the game on the world stage is really positive, really beneficial. For people like, who are around the game already, it's probably a little bit more confusing, but they're really just trying to find a way to kind of get a bigger audience, right? end of the day. I mean, like, could they have accomplished that with box? Maybe. It's kind of like same kind of concept, already exists, already has all the rules in place, fewer people, like all the, different things that maybe you could stack up that were benefits of sixes. But, it's interesting. It's fun to watch.
You watch sixes and like the first year, it's, Justin Gutterding covering, Michael Sowers. Like, what the hell do you think's going to happen? He's going to run right by him. Yeah. And it's evolved into something, I think, more. And I'm like down the road lacrosse thinking, I'm wondering, like, well, shit, is this going to become the freaking, like, is college lacrosse going to be sixes? Because that's what we're doing in the Olympics. And I have this like ultimate theory of like, if lacrosse is ever going to make it, you think to some extent like box and field need to work together somehow, because no other sport has two versions of it except ours.
Yeah.
And you played box professionally, correct?
Well, that would be a stretch.
So you did.
I tried out professionally. No, I had an opportunity to go out and play with the Swarm at one of their training camps, and really good people. John Arlotta, he's the namesake for the Notre Dame Stadium. So it was ended up on his team, but it was a really cool opportunity. It's a really fun version of the game. I mean, you just don't grow up playing it as much. Now it seems like it's more ubiquitous in the youth game, but that's a cool version of lacrosse. To me, that could have been something that kind of took the world stage as opposed to sixes. I'm not over here being a sixes hater, so don't quote on that. But
no,
it's definitely I don't know. It's just confusing when you add a third version of the game to a game that's like on the Ocho predominantly, right? What's on? Like, I mean, I'm in Chicago, right? Lacrosse isn't as big out here. It's growing. Like, there's a lot of really good Chicago lacrosse, but it's just not as pervasive. Like, it's not, something that everyone's familiar with. And I've had people ask me, like, like I turned on lacrosse the other night on ESPN2 now that, box is getting some kind of more mainstream coverage. And it's like what is this? Right. It's just already confusing enough for people. So, that's enough negativity for a night. It'll be exciting in the Olympics, and, it'll be good to see them roll it out. It honestly does get the best athletes on the field, so it like clears out schmucks like myself who probably couldn't have like in the bar and the JV sixes team. So it is good from that sense.
Yeah, I want to talk and use some of this time to talk a little bit about leadership and the Notre Dame program and the run they've been on, really since longer than the national championships have happened. So Mike, I don't want to put you in the spot, but I know you got some great questions written down, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, and John, don't worry. I'll be the sixes hater. I'll take all that from you, because
there we go.
I hate the NBA, so, and it reminds me of it. So I'll take all that. But bringing you back to Notre Dame, Dan mentioned it, and John, you mentioned it. We're all defenders here, and when I was growing up, my favorite defender by far was Matt Landis. I love Matt Landis. Yeah. So I always wanted a chance to ask somebody like yourself who got to play with him what that was like. You got to experience it every day, right? Not just game day, but in practice, on a different team and scout. Was curious what that was like, and if you had any great stories of the legend, I'd love to hear it.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of good stories, but I mean, it's immeasurable, the value of a defender, where we would legitimately say look away whenever he was covering anyone. It didn't matter if it was best player in the world, Lyle Thompson, or maybe a lesser opponent. We would genuinely say look away as his guy tried to dodge him, and that just meant that everyone on the defense was kind of going to find their guy, going to reorient themselves, get into a good position. But it's immeasurable, the value to have a guy on the field where you just know he's not getting beat no matter what. And I can't really think of many instances, if any at all, where he did get beat one-on-one. And, just incredibly talented, incredibly hardworking, really good teammate, just good guy to be around. Someone that was really important, for me in my career to learn from. Unfortunately, you can't learn freakish athleticism, but at least taught me some pieces of the Notre Dame defense. And, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Mike, I don't know if you have any other questions, but yeah, John, like, you played with so many great defensemen. Notre Dame is known for its defense. I believe your D coordinator when you were there was Jerry Byrne, who's now the head coach at Harvard, who just came off a huge win
against
Syracuse.
Big win.
I don't know if you saw that, but
Yeah, no, I reached out to him. It was an impressive win, and he's building something special over there. I mean, he's one of the all-time great developers of young men beyond just kind of on the field stuff, but also off the field. Just, classic all-time leader, good person, best interest of all of his players in mind. I mean, you can't ask for a better guy to be kind of developing a program. And it's no secret Harvard had been kind of under performing relative to their potential for, the previous decade. And I think he's the guy who's going to kind of lift them to higher levels. And you're already starting to see pieces of that with that win last week. So that was just really fun to watch as someone who's a big Jerry Byrne fan. And, we'll always support him.
Did you have a question? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question was just, what was it like playing for him? But you kind of answered it.
No, I mean, you can't find someone who just thinks about the game as creatively as him. I mean, it's just like a very rare ability for him to watch the way that offenses operate, watch the way that players within offenses kind of go about their various systems, and then create, situations in practice or create situations in drills that mimic that. The way that he prepares his defenses to get out on the field, you feel like you've seen it a million times by the way you're out there. He's finding those key moments, like one that comes to mind, talking about Syracuse. I'm ashamed to say I don't know if they still run this offense. It's probably different now that it's not Desco anymore, but they used to run a seesaw offense where they would have an attackman who would swing wide underneath a midfielder, Sergio Salcido in 2015, going down the alley. And we would just mimic that one particular component of their offense. I mean, this is just one motion within a broader offensive set for, tens, if not hundreds of reps over the course of the week leading up to that, just so that everyone, in every various position on the defense knew where to be, knew what their communication should be. If their guy's doing X, that means Y. I mean, there's still level of kind of, Jerry's ability to pick apart an offense and then find a way to replicate those scenarios in practice is just really special.
Yeah. Sergio Salcido. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, no. It's Sergio, unintentional. Shout out, but great guy.
Good, yeah. Good throwback. Did you happen to catch the post-game press conference with Jerry Byrne?
I did. I thought that was kind of an interesting flex. I would tell.
Yeah. I agree.
It was maybe a little bit of I was thinking it was maybe some resume building, right? It seems like he's kind of elevating that win. I don't know if I feel as strongly about this Syracuse team. I've got some Syracuse friends, and Syracuse is really good program, a lot of history, really strong teams, and in particular, a lot of really strong individuals that have gone through that program. But I don't know if I'm seeing the same thing out of this team that he is.
Agreed. I just say they're a Final Four team is a lot to say without them making a Final Four yet.
Yeah.
So staying on that, teams aside from Notre Dame, what have you seen this year? Who's impressed you instead of the Irish or besides the Irish? Any teams jump out?
Yeah, I mean, I really like watching Maryland play. So, I know that's kind of leading into this weekend, but there's a lot of things about Maryland's defense that mirrors the Notre Dame defense. And this is going to be a Mike and Danny episode because this really, I just don't watch offenses the same way I do the defenses. But they play just such a good system defense. And it takes a lot to say that because they do a lot of different things than the Notre Dame defense does. There's a lot of different rules in terms of how those defenders kind of approach their various sets, but it's a really good team they've pulled together, and I mean it's testament to the whole coaching staff over there, the broader university. They just bring it year after year. That you're going to get good Maryland lacrosse teams, so it's no surprise to see them off to a hot start. Probably haven't caught as many games as I would have liked to this year, but the game I watched them play earlier this year, I think it was maybe against Syracuse again, but it was a really good game.
They both have look away defenses, like you said earlier. Like when you watch Notre Dame and Maryland play, when it's time to support their teammates, they do a good job of it. But for the most part, we have 6 of the best defenders, short stick, long stick on the world on the field right now.
Yeah,
let's just everyone cover your guy, no easy goals. And you saw that against Syracuse a couple weeks ago with Maryland specifically. Let's make them dodge and score goals instead of just move the ball like the Globetrotters. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And then I guess let's talk about the game now. Maryland Notre Dame this week. They're playing down in Georgia.
Yep.
At
At Georgia Tech at the football stadium.
Interesting.
I believe.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
do you ever play one of those big neutral site games at Notre Dame?
Yeah, we played a couple. I'm trying to think. Coolest venues probably were Orange Coast College, the OCC, big name in the college lacrosse world, but they actually had a great thing that they did on the West Coast shootout. That was really fun. I think we played probably one of the least exciting games ever there in front of like a packed, sold out crowd. It might have been like a 5-4 Notre Dame Maryland game. So it was like,
no, that's awesome.
good.
Not all.
That's good ball.
Yeah, it was ball. It was good ball. So I think there's probably some diehards in the stands who could appreciate that, and then a bunch of people on the West Coast getting accustomed to lacrosse who were just, like, what the hell am I watching here? Is this paint drying? But that was a cool one. The Star was a cool stadium. We played down in Dallas a couple times. But no, I mean, listen, this weekend's going to be a really good test for both of those teams. Like, I look at Maryland's schedule, Loyola, Princeton, Syracuse. Those are all good wins. Those are all, blue blood programs, a Hobart of sorts, and it's high quality, but like, I don't think they've been tested, right? Like, I think we're starting to see maybe some cracks at the seams of the Syracuse team, the Ivy Leagues. I just don't know if they bring the same level of competition that the ACC does. So I think this is going to be a really good test for both of them. And same for Notre Dame. I mean, Georgetown's a great program, a lot of good history there. Not sure they bring the same level of competition as kind of this tier of lacrosse when you're talking about going out and trying to beat a Coach Tillman coached Maryland team. So I think both of them are going to learn a lot about what their prospects look like this year and what they have to get better at. It's going to be, it's good that it's early in the season for both of them. I'm sure they're both going to learn a lot and, be able to implement that moving forward, going into the meat of their schedules.
Was a Super Bowl type atmosphere when these teams play.
I think we could all talk about Notre Dame and Maryland for the next hour, but a couple quick hitters, I guess. So NIL is obviously a big thing nowadays. You didn't get to experience that. I guess off the top of your mind, is there one guy that you played with at Notre Dame, or I guess someone like that you could see really benefiting off on NIL if it was a thing back in the day?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was lucky to play with a lot of guys who I think had kind of all the ingredients of being a good NIL deal. You look at a guy like Sergio Perkovic making it on the field, male model quality looks, like a guy like that, he's just asking for NIL money. I think about Ryder Garnsey, who just brought all the sex appeal on the field with his various, crazy goals and everything that he was capable of. I think he would have been able to kind of, make that worth his while. The guys like Mike, Danny, and I, we probably would have been, left out, holding out our hands, asking for more growth. I don't think we would have been getting that same opportunity.
All I'd want is just some free whey protein or something of that nature.
That would have been enough, man. Maybe a Chipotle gift card. Like, I mean,
Gym membership.
Yeah.
Yes. Mike, anything from you, brother?
So I was actually telling the story before you got on, John, but I actually tripped it from Hobart, so Geneva, New York, to South Bend, Indiana, to watch Notre Dame play Boston College. It was freezing. It was in October, November. It was a long tailgate, great time. It was an awesome atmosphere, exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
I guess my question, coming from somebody who went to a smaller 2,000 liberal arts college who has D3 sports out of lacrosse, didn't really get to experience the big sport atmosphere. Do you have any, fond memories of, sports outside of, lacrosse in your 4 years at Notre Dame? A lot of good sports at Notre Dame.
Honestly, all the above, like, not to hit a cliche, but going to a school like Notre Dame, you just get to see like some of the best athletes in the world, right? And there's a lot of guys that I was watching on Saturdays there, in the stands at Notre Dame football games who are still playing, today in the NFL. And, you just feel really fortunate to be training and be around athletes like that. But yeah, to your point, I mean, the atmosphere around a Notre Dame football game, there's nothing like it, right? It takes a 10,000 person campus to, 100,000+ overnight. So it's just really cool to be around that. But the hockey games were great. I mean, the hockey arena that they have is really cool venue. A lot of really good players in the NHL today. Basketball, people really sleep on the fact that I think Notre Dame women's basketball is either the second or third most attended sport at the school. So it's
Wow.
a South Bend favorite, a South Bend classic, if you will. But that's one of the most talented teams in the country year in, year out. So you're just around a lot of really good athletics, right? Or you could go, catch the world champion fencing team, right? You got like 3 or 4, Olympic medalists playing for Notre Dame at any given time. So I think you're just around a lot of good ball, right? Yeah, I don't know if it's appropriate to call fencing ball, but it's
It's close enough.
I'd like to see you take one of them on with a 6-foot pole. It'd be pretty entertaining.
They took us out and trained us one time. They took our whole team out for
Really?
fencing lesson, and it was I think they regretted it soon after. It's little train wreck, exactly like 50 dudes treating a fencing training session. So.
Bad idea, Coach. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. We all looked up to you growing up in high school and, watched most of your games in college. So you coming on is really cool for us and hopefully cool for our listeners to hear, your take on the current college landscape and talk about your experience in Notre Dame.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's just would echo what you guys said, that had a ton of fun watching your guys' careers play out. So it was obviously, cool to have that Lincoln Sudbury connection that, makes you want to watch a lot of Hobart games.
Hell yeah. Nothing else makes you want to watch some Hobart ball?
No. There's a lot of good ball being played at Hobart, but I probably more than the average viewer. So
absolutely. No, we'll take it. 100%.
Excellent.
Thanks so much, John.
Yeah,
Thanks, Johnny.
you guys.
Thanks, Johnny.
Water guns, that's a birthday party. That's a birthday party thing. A nail gun.
Children.
A nail gun puts a nail in something and it stays there for 30 years. And it does and it keeps it there. And these nail guns are keeping their programs on top.
This segment is sponsored by Bully Boy. Looking for craft spirits with bold flavor and real character, Bully Boy Distillers has you covered. From their smooth, small batch whiskeys to their ready-to-pour bottled old fashions, like the one we are sipping on right now. Every bottle is made with quality, care, and a little bit of Boston grit. Some Jersey grit, too, for Mike over there. Sip it neat, mix it up. Either way, Bully Boy brings a spirit. Stop by the distillery for tastings, tours, and events, or just find a bottle near you.
I'm a fan of Bully Boy. Superfluous, exceeding what is sufficient or necessary, extra or unnecessary. Yeah, I would have needed 10 words to say something like that. But, yeah, that was a privilege. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate it. All right, our Bully Boy nail gun of the week. Who we got?
That'd be me today, boys. Oh, Hayden, you're going too?
Yeah, I'll do one.
Let's do 2 quick.
Okay, well, I have
Good,
one.
Mike.
I swear to God, if you do the same one as me.
No, I don't think it will be. Mine almost changed about an hour before this episode when I saw our host Dan drop his entire dinner of rice, beans, and ground beef on the floor of our kitchen. And what he did was a nail gun move. He put it back in the bowl with his hands, threw it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and ate the whole thing. That was that was a nail gun move by Dan.
Behavior.
And
That's my host, man.
And it was Farmer's Dog. It wasn't even human food.
Farmer's Dog's great. Farmer's Dog is great.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that he did that. I questioned him as a human being.
All right, Mike, what do you got? Who's your nail gun?
So, you guys know you probably expect somebody who plays defense coming out of my mouth. It's not the case. Sometimes people score a lot of goals in games, right? I feel like it happens all the time now. There's a lot of talent out there, but just so happens that there was somebody who scored a lot of goals last weekend. That is our nail gun of the week, and I'm excited for it. This week's nail gun of the week for me is Dominic Petramala.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of a great game between UNC and Hopkins at Homewood, outside of a top 10 matchup, outside of a 1-goal finish, there was a homecoming at Homewood that I'm not sure was talked about enough. Dave Petramala, Dom's father, right? He was the head coach Hopkins for 20 years. That's 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crazy.
Right. Legendary.
He had 18 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 national championships, and went to 7 Final Fours. He is the program's all-time winning coach, 207 wins. All right?
Mhm.
So what happened to Coach Petramalo? Why did he leave Hopkins, right? Supposedly they mutually parted ways. Whatever. Well, I don't know. I don't know what happened there, right? 5 years later, Dave Petramalo comes back to Homewood, this time as a defensive coordinator, not a head coach for UNC. And guess what? His son is a star attackman of his team playing at Homewood. 6 goals later, more I should say, 6 absolute laser beams to the back of the net. Hayden, you already talked about how beautiful his shot is. Comes out with the dub, wins at Homewood Field where he grew up playing lacrosse, watching his father coach. Congrats,
Yeah.
Tom Petramalo.
You think about how many shots he must have taken on that field growing up.
Yeah.
I thought he handled himself so well in that interview after the game too. You could see how much it meant to him and how like that moment was a climax for his lacrosse career. It'll get better, but that,
Yeah. And I think with that interview, I think Paul Rabel reposted it on Twitter, and he said, this is a true full circle moment. Like when Paul Rabel was playing at Hopkins, Don Petramalo was on the sidelines being the ball boy or just running around at practice or whatever it was. So, yeah, Mike, I love that pick. That was unbelievable. Great post-game interview, and happy for the Petramalo family. You also forgot to mention that Petramalo was a 2-time Schmeisser winner, 3-time All-American, unbelievable player in his own right. So, yeah, great pick.
Call.
Nail gun in his own right.
Yeah.
Nail gun.
All guts. Let's do it.
There are some other stories we want to make sure we cover our All Guts section.
All guts, no glory.
All Guts, no glory. Who we got?
Don't forget to like and follow us on whatever the hell we're on. YouTube, Instagram.
YouTube just started up that channel. The merch has also been released.
The merch. It's high quality shit. And you can order it right to your door. This is not some group Plaster Fun Time party thing. This is, you remember Plaster Fun Time?
Yeah.
I still got some.
No, it is high quality. It's high quality brands from a high quality manufacturer. Ours should be here in a week or so if you want to wait for a review. But
Yeah. All guts, no glory. Here we go. So, crazy year of college lacrosse. This just goes to show it's very tough to pick games. Last week we were 6-8 overall, and that is just straight up who wins the game. And some of those games are like Virginia versus Ohio State. Who wins a Virginia versus Ohio State? We say Virginia. I think the whole freaking country said Virginia, and that didn't happen, and that happens a lot. So this year we are 14-16 overall and picking the winner of our All Guts No Glory games. That's not that good. We need to be better. That said, it's very challenging. There's some really good games this week. We got games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For the viewer, this is a great week of college lacrosse. Hayden and Mike, you guys both get 2 timeouts this week.
Okay.
Use them.
better use them. Yep.
Use them.
Use them or lose them.
Yep. Use them or lose them. So starting Friday, the 28th, we have Vermont at Dartmouth.
Timeout. I think Vermont is a 100% lock in this game. Vermont is loaded. They got Charlie Pope, Zach Davis, a couple great young attackmen. They're a team that I love, and I love beating this Dartmouth team. I think Vermont is a money line lock this weekend, and I'm not the only one who is in agreement with that.
That is a Popovichian timeout right off the rip.
Set the tone.
Rip.
Right off the rip. And we have some great games that you wasted one on. But, well, okay, Vermont's going to win. Our crew took Vermont. Lehigh at Villanova. The crew is taking Villanova after a tough loss last week to Colgate. We think they're going to come back.
We just had a great conversation about UNC and what they did. So Penn at UNC, we're going to go with Penn. We feel strongly about that. Princeton.
Timeout. I disagree with that. I think UNC wins this game.
Well, it's 3-1. It's 3-1.
That's
All right.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
you guys really are wholeheartedly on
they look really
Penn's
good.
going to win this game.
They look really good, Mike.
You know my answer.
Yeah, okay.
They look really good.
Brandon Lavelle. That's my
Is
answer.
that Hayden's second timeout?
That's my second timeout. That's all I got.
No.
Okay.
You get,
Maybe I'll get one more.
Maybe
but
it will be I told you so.
That doesn't count.
maybe
that
that's
doesn't
the
count.
reason we're 14-16.
yeah, maybe it
Too many
is.
timeouts from Hayden. That's why.
Yeah, so Princeton, Duke, another great game. We have Princeton in this one.
Then, last game Friday, High Point at Delaware. Crew's taking Delaware. On to Saturday, BU at Navy. This is a great game. We went to this game last year, It was
Yeah, we did.
at BU last year. Now it's at Navy. The crew's going to take Navy in this one. They're at home. They've looked good at home this year. We like the midshipmen.
We were in the, what was it, the family lounge? What was it called?
Yeah, at halftime.
Bagels, freaking spread, like, yeah, harpoons.
Heineken's, bagels.
It was
so many bagels.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, a great bagels, like Boston Bagel. I don't know, but that place was meant whatever that shindig was.
Thanks,
okay.
Tommy Bork.
Yeah, Tommy Bork and family. Georgetown at Brown. We have Georgetown in this game. Then we have Bryant at Ohio State. We're going Ohio State.
Colgate at Loyola. Yeah, so Patriot League starts up this week. We are taking Colgate in this one. They're going to go to Loyola and get it done. Providence.
Timeout.
Yep.
Want to let you get that out.
Love it.
I love this game. Colgate at Loyola. Like you said, Patriot League opened up. Really fun conference to watch. And although these teams have two completely different trajectories, Loyola hasn't won yet this year, and Colgate's won their last 3. It's a 1.5 point spread for great reasons. These are two pretty even teams. Even though Colgate has beaten Harvard, Villanova, and Albany in their last 3, Loyola has losses to Rutgers, Hopkins, Maryland, and Georgetown. 2 of those being 1-goal losses to Maryland and Hopkins. They're a good team, and it's at home at Loyola, which is a tough place to play. This will be a fun one to watch.
Yep, getting battle tested before the tough Patriot League. And like we've learned last year, if you want to go to the tournament in the Patriot League, you got to win it. Providence at Fairfield. Good game. First time you can say that in a few years. We're taking Fairfield.
Yep. Next, Virginia at Hopkins. Hopkins, just based on the last couple of weeks.
I'm out.
Love it.
Too quick for me too, Hayden. Sorry. This game is very critical for at-large, right? Virginia has dropped 2 in a row.
Yeah.
To Richmond and Ohio State, which is not great for RPI, at least at this moment right now. And Hopkins just lost 2, their first game. So this is a big bounce back. Virginia almost feels like they need to win this game.
Yeah.
Totally.
It feels that way, right? And Hopkins has looked great all beginning of the year, but a win over Virginia this week would basically set Hopkins up to be an at-large team and be a contender in the tournament.
This was the game last year that Hopkins won at Virginia. Who was the commentator on the call? I forget his name. He does the Celtics now, but
Connor something?
No, it wasn't Connor. I don't know. He's a stud, though. I did a blast on him. Was
Chris
the
Cotter.
Jim Nance, commentator of the year 2019. He attended
Yeah.
Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse guy.
We forget that these teams, like we just hear Virginia and we hear Hopkins and we hear Syracuse and we're like, oh, they're going to be in the tournament. We just assume they're going to like be in
Especially
the tournament
Virginia.
in May, and that's like
Especially Virginia.
right.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And now, like
I
with
love
the
it.
out of conference kind of dwindling, that window of those wins you can get before you're playing, big brother or little brother every single week in conference, that time frame is shortening. And for these teams, these games are so huge. And it doesn't seem like it because they play them every freaking week and they play in the tournament every freaking year. But it's go time, like you said, Mike. I just want to make that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next game, Penn State at Yale. The team's going with Penn State.
UMass at Albany. Good out of conference mid-major bout. We are taking UMass at Albany in this one. St. Joe's at Rutgers. St. Joe's coming off a big win against Towson. We are taking Rutgers, though, in this game.
Next, we have the Statesman at Robert Morris. We're going Hobart with this one. Next, we have Syracuse at Utah, and we are going with the Orange. Little redemption.
Timeout. I'll use my third and illegal timeout here.
It's a flag.
I just want to put in perspective, who Syracuse is this year. Like, we watched them the first 3 games, and it's like, holy cow, these guys are the best team to ever step on the field. Like, I think we might have, at least Brett and I watching them were like, oh my God, they moved the ball like I've never seen before. They're going to win the national championship. All right. Coming off 2 losses to a good Maryland team and a good Harvard team. The only teams they've beaten are Jacksonville, UVM, and Towson, right? I think Utah is better than those 3 teams. I think this is going to be a little bit of a toss-up game, right? This is must-win for Syracuse. If they don't win this game, they're not getting an at-large bid. They're going to be in real trouble unless they get out of the ACC clean. This is going to be a good game. I'm excited to see Syracuse travel to Utah. I'm excited to see Utah play a really good Syracuse team.
Every ACC team is at large, too. Like there's no
right.
there's no AQ from their conference. So no, your point's even more so. Yeah, they need to win this game. They need to beat Utah if they want to be an at-large team.
Flying out to Utah too. Flying out to Utah outside.
Thin air, like breathing through a straw out there. Sunday the 2nd, 3 games, and this is great for lacrosse fans. Lacrosse is back on Sundays, and this is a continuation of the Ivy's trip down to North Carolina. Penn at Duke. In this game, we're going to take Pennsylvania. So our take is Penn goes 2-0 on their little vacation.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. Princeton at UNC. We are taking North Carolina. So we think they're going to lose to Penn Friday. They're going to, go back and talk about it. Probably can't booze between those 2 games because you're playing kind of a back-to-back. It's Memorial Day weekend style, right? You're playing your semifinal, and then you're playing your championship 2 days later. So that's what they're trying to replicate here. We think UNC is going to win it. Last game we're going to talk about Marist at Air Force. We actually haven't decided here.
Yeah.
Brett, who do you got?
Air Force.
Marist.
Mike?
Air Force.
I like Air Force. That's 3-1 Air Force. We were taking Air Force in this game.
Dan, you just made a great point that maybe I just have missed all this time, but the scheduling concept with the IBs going down to Duke and UNC to replicate Memorial Day weekend, that makes so much sense. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
well,
but it makes so much sense.
ACC teams used to play on Thursdays. You remember that? They would play a game on Thursday, and then they would play a game on Saturday too. I remember being in college, and we'd Thursday night was always like a Virginia UNC or one of those games on. Then they'd play Saturday against another team. But yeah, that's what they're getting ready for. All right, games of the week. We're very lucky, to say the very least. Yeah, these are our games of the week. We have 3 games of the week. Our games of the week. We're just fired up to present to you our games of the week.
Stock Bros.
Stock of what?
Hayden's looking at his portfolio right now. Supposed to be talking about lacrosse.
Come on, Hayden.
Sector Spider. ETFs.
Alrighty. In that little sound clip, you heard me say the name of the segment 3 times, so I'm not going to say it again. We're going to start with the biggest of the year so far. Number 1, number 2. This one's being played at Georgia Tech.
Bobby Dodd Stadium.
The old Bobby Dodd.
Bobby Dadder.
Bobby
Need to
Dodd.
fill that puppy up.
I really think that they could fill it up. I mean, it is a big ACC football stadium. It's not as big as they come, but it is a big stadium. I think Atlanta is a place where lacrosse is growing rapidly. I think it is a place where there could be a lot of attention on this game, right? It doesn't get any bigger than this game. Number 1 versus number 2. There's guys from Georgia in the Atlanta area on both teams, right? Just to, think of a few. Braden Irks on Maryland, on Notre Dame. They got Fisher Finley, right? They got, and there's a whole lot more. I think this is going to be probably the biggest crowd we've seen all year. 1 versus 2, like we said, it is a national championship caliber game.
Filling the stadium is remarkably optimistic.
I'm not saying it's going to be 100% capacity, but it's going to look full.
If they filled an ACC football stadium and I wasn't there, I would never forgive myself.
Literally.
That would be, it's a little superfluous to say that the stadium.
That would be a superfluous outcome.
Nice.
I'm just saying, if you live in Atlanta or anywhere near it and you're a fan of lacrosse, which there are a lot of fans there, this is like the opportunity of a lifetime. You don't get any good games like this. You get 1 or 2 a year where teams like this come and play. And now the fact that it's 1 versus 2, it just makes it even more of a reason to go. If you're like a town program in Atlanta, you're going to this game. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Fair point.
I'm fired
Fair
up.
point.
That was good.
And there is a Georgia presence, right? Eric Maliver, front of the program. He was talking about Georgia Lax a bit.
Yeah.
There's going to be some attendance there. For sure.
I
Some
hope
glove programs.
You're right. I hope you're right. And obviously they're 1-2 this year, right? This is a rematch of the national championship last year and could easily be this year with how good these teams are playing right now. At least a matchup in the tournament at some point.
We haven't even said the name of the teams yet. Yeah. We got Notre Dame, 2-goal favorites against Maryland Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. This one's on ACC Network. Take it away, Mike. Point you just made. This was the national championship last year. I forgot.
I forgot we didn't say the names.
Continue.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Do we have to?
Yeah, no, that's valid. We were talking about nonsense. No, yeah, 100%. It's a massive matchup. I also was focusing in on a matchup, as I always do. Will Schaller, who's been their guy, Maryland's guy, close defender, will be on Chris Kavanaugh. This is another fun matchup. Chris Kavanaugh was covered by Ty Banks last week, and he still had 3 goals, 1 assist. Now, that's not saying that they were all against Ty Banks. Things happen in the game, but he produces points. He's a good player, and he's taken over the role of dodging for Notre Dame and initiating. So seeing him against a really stout Maryland defense will be fun.
Yeah, and I think with Notre Dame offensively and defensively, I guess you get those football guys back. You get Faison back. Tyler Buckner got some minutes last game. Matt Jeffries, who was a freshman, number 1 recruit in the country and a football player, is back on the field for Notre Dame. So they're in full force, right? It's no more of this, some guys sitting out. They're playing Cleveland State, right? They're in full go mode for their season. Unbelievable team to watch. Chris Kavanaugh is an absolute dog, right? We watch him every week, and we always have known that he's a dog and that he always plays with a certain type of mentality that's just a little bit different from everybody else. But in that Georgetown game, I think it was just a reminder of how much of a beating he takes and how much he produces after taking those beatings. When he dodges, he is getting his arms wailed on. He's going through 2 or 3 guys, making long sweeping dodges, and he finds someone, wide open for a step down.
Yeah.
And I think Notre Dame's in full force. I said it last week. I think they're a couple goals better than the next best team in the country, which is Maryland. So I'm hoping for them to prove it this weekend, and I hope Maryland's defense can be stout against them.
I'm going to ask for our picks at the end of all 3 games of the week. Other good games, because there are some good games. We're going to go to Cornell at Richmond. The controversial game of the week pick. I think it's a game of the week because it's Cornell's first big test. At Richmond. This one's at Sunday at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Some good matchups in this game, starting with the defenseman we highlighted last week against the unanimous best player in the country. Mike, I'll let you talk about this matchup.
Yep. Yeah, another shout out to Hunter Smith, close defenseman for Richmond. He will most definitely be on CJ Kirst. He did a great job on McCabe Millen, as we said, on UVA. They told their defense, similar to Matt Landis, don't even slide to him. Let him do his thing. I don't know if they're going to do the same thing against CJ Kirst because he's a goal scorer, doesn't really get many assists.
And shout out,
he has.
Sorry to cut you off. I know we watched the Hobart Cornell game tonight. Nolan Firth is a great defender. If you have the chance to watch Hobart, he's a really good player. And CJ Kirst had a bunch of points tonight, but if you watch the one-on-one battle, I thought Nolan Firth did a pretty good job on CJ. Sorry I cut you off completely, but wanted to call that out because he's an emerging defender and he's been Hobart's cover guy for a couple of years.
That's a very valid point. Excellent defender, Nolan Firth. Great cover guy. He's probably one of the best shit talkers in all of Division I lacrosse, having played with him. But that's kind of the crazy thing, right? I watched the whole game like Dan did, 1v1, Nolan Firth did fantastic, yet somehow CJ Kirst had 14 points. It had nothing to do with the one-on-one lacrosse. This guy just knows how to score. You got to slow him down if you want to beat Cornell. He's their initiator. So watching Hunter Smith on CJ Kirst will be another fun matchup to watch during that game.
Yeah, and Dan, I think you said this game was a controversial game of the week. I think it's going to be a good game. I think we just, got to realize what Richmond is this year. Obviously when they beat Virginia, it was oh man, they're going to be, a top 10 team. And I think everybody got really, really high on them after that Virginia win. Last week they beat, a pretty average, maybe below average Lehigh team by a goal, right? So to me, that's a little concerning. We know what Cornell is. We know how good their offense is. We know how they can beat anybody. They dictate the pace of the games. So I think it's going to be a tall task for Richmond to win this game. I don't know what the spread is, but I think we got to be careful of Richmond, but this game will tell us a lot, right? If they can beat a team like Cornell who's proven, or at least compete with them closely, that's going to verify that they're a top tier team for sure.
I think a big piece of this too is just Cornell stepping into that atmosphere. You're not in upstate New York. You're in Richmond, Virginia. You're at a lacrosse facility. It's going to be probably a little muggy. Haven't looked at the weather, but it's going to be warmer than it is in Ithaca, New York. So you're stepping into our atmosphere. You're playing a highly touted A10 team. I think it'll be a good matchup. I'm not seeing the spread yet. Cornell just played, so spread's probably not out yet. Move on from this one. Penn at UNC. So this is one of the 4 Ivy versus ACC, Memorial Day weekend mimic matchups. Penn at UNC Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern on ACC Network. So you probably can watch it pretty easily. Penn at UNC. UNC's hot right now. Huge win last week. Penn also bad loss to start the year, but they came back strong against Delaware last week. Mike, you're incredibly high in their defense, but there's a lot of other pieces to this. Hayden, starting with you, UNC's offense. Is this should we just get used to this? Get used to these kind of performances from the Tar Heels?
I don't know. Watching that UNC Hopkins game, obviously they're flashy. They stretch the field very well. But I think in that game, I don't think Hopkins did a great job of covering them. To start, I don't think their goalie made a ton of saves he wasn't supposed to make. There was a lot of goals that he left in where the shot placement was stick side high, right? And he dipped or he fell to the ground or he just missed it, right? And that kind of opened some doors for Petramala and Duffy. And then, they didn't really adjust throughout the game, right? After the first 3 Dom Petramala goals, right? If I was on that Hopkins sideline, I'd say, all right, let's press out on him. Let's get in his face, right? Borderline not even let him touch the ball, let alone give him, a step down from 15 yards. I don't think Hopkins did a great job of adjusting, and I think that's why UNC was able to stretch the field so much.
He took great shooter. We're giving him plenty of credit for that. He took Kilrain to the rack, just went hard, dipped his shoulder down, went low to high.
Yeah, no, that was also surprising to see. I haven't seen Dom Petramala dodge like that ever, I don't think. But yeah, this is a story of a high-powered offense versus a stout defense. I don't really know what's going to be going on the other side of the field. If Penn can score some goals against this pretty good UNC defense, a lot of no names, but it's UNC. They're athletic. They're 5-star players. They're great defensemen. If Penn can score some goals against UNC, they're going to have a good chance at this. I anticipate this being a low-scoring game, though.
If anyone can play defense on UNC, Mike, it's got to be Penn, right?
Got to be Penn. What do you guys think, if you were to take a guess, what the under is in this game? Sorry, the line under over.
22.
You were to take a guess.
23.
22, 23?
Yeah.
21.5. And it's at that for a very good reason.
Yeah.
Because of how good Penn's defense is and because of the 2 netminders on both teams.
Yeah.
Gianfrancaro and Emmett Carroll, right? Gianfrancaro is at 58% right now, I believe, save percentage, and then Emmett Carroll's at 67% save percentage. They stand on their heads for those defenses, and Hayden, you actually mentioned it for UNC. They're young, they're inexperienced around the cage, but when Gianfrancaro gets hot, they build confidence, and that defense is very athletic. Even though they're a little small, but they're very, very athletic and aggressive. So they build off each other. So if Gianfrancaro starts hot and Emmett Carroll starts hot, I believe that under is probably going to hit, and it's going to be a low-scoring slugfest tight game would be my prediction.
Well, before we roll into Feed the Family, let's just take picks on these games of the week because they're great. We're going to go good to great. So let's start with Cornell at Richmond. Who do we like? Let's just go Mike, Hayden.
We just going straight pick 'em?
Pick 'em. Straight pick 'em.
Cornell.
Mike.
Cornell.
Brett.
Cornell.
I'm going to take Cornell. Penn at UNC. Mike.
Penn.
Hayden.
UNC.
Brett.
Penn.
I'll take UNC. Notre Dame, Maryland. Mike.
Maryland.
Notre Dame.
Maryland.
Maryland.
Whoa.
I didn't think that'd be that lopsided.
Why not, Maryland?
Why not?
You've shown it.
Why not?
Why not?
Getting to know their
They're all-
fan base too. It's yeah. Like Johnny was even like, I love watching Maryland. Like I like Maryland.
You know what I love about this game? I guess last point on it is it replicates a national championship game. You're playing in an unfamiliar venue in front of an unfamiliar crowd, right? It's a massive atmosphere. There's going to be tons of people there. You're playing a championship caliber opponent. If I'm looking at this and like I'm trying to get in the minds of Corrigan and Tillman, it's like we want to get national championship experience before the actual national championship.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an unbelievable game. You can't say it enough.
I'd love to hear them on the phone, like talking about this, planning it out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wouldn't it be sick if we just like played in like a huge stadium?
Do you think Notre Dame travels their band? Think their band travels?
That's a great question. How sick would
That
that
might
be?
be sick.
How sick would that be?
Imagine getting like a late slip from your professor. Oh, sorry, I'm going to Georgia.
I gotta fly down to Georgia to watch our boys.
I gotta go play trombone.
What? It's a top 2 matchup.
Yeah, what?
It is.
This was a
Do my
national
homework.
championship last year.
Bringing the band with you down to Georgia would drain your budget for the next great Chaminade attackman.
Hey, well, I got some lines to start us off here, boys.
Mike, yeah, kick us off. As you do that, we'll look at the rest of them and just talk about what we like. We'll put
From
put
our
3 minutes on
guy,
the clock.
Lance Madonna. He's been pretty hot for us with his bar tab bet of the week.
He missed
5
one.
and 6.
Yeah, but what was the one he
5 and
missed?
6.
5, 4,
It was
6, or
Hopkins.
5,
It was
5 and
Hopkins
6?
money line.
5,
5 and
4,
6.
That's Hopkins.
Yep.
Right.
It was Hopkins money line. He's 5 for 6, and he gave us 3 more good ones for this week. You can do them individually, money line or parlay. Obviously, more bang for your buck with parlay here. But Bucknell minus 6.5 at Holy Cross, Marquette plus 7.5 at Harvard, and Vermont plus 1.5 at Dartmouth. Hey, and I know you love that last one.
Yep. Love Vermont as underdogs at Dartmouth. That Marquette plus 7.5 is interesting. I wouldn't, that wouldn't be the first bet I'd take, but I actually do like that pick. I think Harvard plays to their opponent. And I think we've kind of seen that this year, right? Playing against Syracuse, they're going to rise to the moment. Playing at Colgate, right? Maybe it's not as big of a game for them. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see their confidence level after the Syracuse win. Maybe they're putting that, play to your opponent stuff behind them. But I actually do like that pick.
And what about Bucknell minus 6.5 at Holy Cross?
I really like that. I think Bucknell, Hobart, we didn't talk about it. Hobart had a great comeback on Saturday. They were down 12-9 in the fourth quarter against Bucknell, came back, won that game. And that's a weird out-of-conference game against a good team. You're just not familiar, and they just figured it out. That's a huge win for them. And I know now we're talking about Cornell, that game, whatever. Cornell's one of the best teams in the country. They have the best player in the country, unanimous. And no, that's a good win. But my point is, like, Bucknell could have easily won that game. And 6.5 goal favorites against maybe the worst team in college lacrosse. I think it's fair to say.
Not the worst.
Not the worst.
They're in a low.
Who's the worst team in Division One?
Hampton is the worst, and then I would say Iona.
Mercyhurst.
Mercyhurst.
Probably
Queens.
Hampton. Probably Hampton.
Queens. Monmouth sucks.
No, Queens is better than Holy Cross. Yeah.
But they are the purple punching bag.
They are the purple punching bag. I opened this can of worms. Sorry. We're rooting for all you guys. Any lines that you like, Hayden?
I actually like Bryant plus 5.5
Same.
against Ohio State. It's at Bryant. Impressive win by Ohio State. Again, we don't know what Virginia is.
I like that.
Bryant is a tough team. They play everybody tight.
They just smacked Quinnipiac. Beat them by 8.
Yeah, Bryant's a good team. You can't really – it's hard to bet against them.
Hayden, Ohio State is riding high right now after beating UVA. Bryant is a tough team to beat. They have a very strong culture, and they're a very gritty team. They can easily keep that game within 5. I got another one with a game I mentioned earlier, Colgate at Loyola. I love Loyola plus 1.5 at home or even money line. I think Colgate is riding high right now. And when they get overconfident, which me and Dan have experienced, they start playing down to the level of their opponent. Not saying Loyola is a bad opponent, but
Mike,
it's a Patriot League game. It's an in-conference game at Loyola. They're overdue for a win. They're 0-4. against a really tough schedule. I like it a lot.
I said
At
that
least
last
a plus
week.
1.5.
I said that last week about Colgate, and then they dominated Villanova. They
Fair
didn't
enough.
win. They dominated.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
That
and
wasn't
I
the
think we
Patriot League,
forget
though.
that they beat Harvard. They beat Harvard the week before, 19-15. They scored 19 goals
Yeah,
against Harvard.
The
Like,
midweek
yeah.
games we forget about.
yeah, I mean that's a tough little game.
You know what midweek game we forgot about? Or we didn't forget about it, but Army just dominating Yale. Dominating.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Expected.
Yeah. I mean, they were, 1 or 2 goal favorites, and they won, 15-13-3, 15-3 or something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't hate Lafayette +8 at Army. It's another conference game. I don't hate it.
Right, because Army could win 13-5 and be,
The Patriot League.
yeah.
And Lafayette is better than they have been in the past. They can be overlooked.
If we're feeding the family, I'll take that Bucknell. I'll take the Bucknell spread against Holy Cross.
Okay.
I feel like I usually look at it the other way around if the other team can cover, if the underdog can cover, but I don't know. Holy Cross is a punching bag, and sucks to say, but they are.
Okay. So that's our feed the family.
I don't know. Do you guys agree or strongly disagree?
Bucknell -6.5.
Yeah.
I mean, Holy Cross has won 2 games.
No.
They beat Queens and UMass Lowell.
Holy shit.
They lost to Providence, Sacred Heart, and Dartmouth. Yeah, that's not a bad pick.
Would you
But
feed the family?
Bucknell
though,
lost
Hayden?
to Hobart. I mean, Jesus.
All right. We need to make a decision. It's getting late.
We missed our D3 rundown today. It's too late.
One thing in D3, NESCAC starts this week. There's a handful of NESCAC teams that would give Hobart a run for their money. And
My
As-
ass.
Tufts. That's it.
Yeah, but good slate of games for D3 this weekend. Union lost to Babson last weekend. Babson's legit. Union was also legit. That was a hard-fought game. Brett, your boy Trip Clark is a baller.
He's a beast.
He is the real deal. He was a complete difference maker against Union. But yeah, good slate of D3. We'll dive into it more next week.
Enjoy the games this week. I think this is something great for you guys to throw on a Saturday, to think a little bit more about all these games, lines, whatever, just to get some, armchair quarterback insights on whatever you think is important for making money that day, watching Lax that day. Enjoy the games this week, especially the big one, number 1, number 2, down at Georgia Tech, Maryland, Notre Dame. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us.